Good day, beautiful people. It's my Thursday at 1 o'clock. I'm doing well. I'm trying to be consistent about my lives for everyone. So today I want to talk about a little bit about winter skincare and then mainly about my eye care oil. Hey, Lacey. And the reason I want to talk about the eye care oil is eye care oil is actually my most favorite oil in my entire line. I love Samson for what it does for the hair growth abilities. But what eye care oil does for my skin has been really surprising to me. And that's happened a little with almost all the products I've made, to be honest with you, because these unrefined oils are so nutritionally dense. After making the oils and then them being on the market for a while and after me using them for a longer period of time, I realized that they have some really amazing benefits that have surprised me. So when I first developed eye care oil, it really was meant to just kind of be an eye product. But then I loved what it did to my eye tissue so much, I started using it all over my face, and then quickly realized that eye care oil is actually the most hydrating and the most anti-aging out of my entire lineup. And when I came out with the new packaging, it's why it now says eye care unrefined eye and face oil, and also why I started selling it in a larger bottle in the 30 milliliter size so people that could use it all over their entire face. So the thing with eye care oil, it's a very simple formulation. There's actually only 4 ingredients. The very first one is green coffee bean oil. And the reason I chose green coffee bean oil is because of all the skincare oils out there, green coffee bean oil tends to be one of the most anti-aging oils available. You tend to see it more like in luxurious skincare because of the benefits. What it does to fine lines and wrinkles and how it plumps up the skin is really amazing. So I know you guys have all heard about, like, it's really important to drink green tea. It has all these amazing health benefits. It's so loaded with antioxidants, all that kind of stuff, okay? So the main ingredient, the major antioxidant inside of green tea is EGCG, which stands for epigallocatechin, maybe. So it's that ingredient in green tea that makes it so beneficial. Well, if you get coffee beans in the raw form, in the grain form before it's roasted, green coffee bean actually has double the amount of that EGCG that green tea has. So it's got major antioxidants. So some of the things about EGCG is that it is so the other thing I found out in researching this of why so many of my acne clients also do well on this oil, even though it's a very hydrating oil, is because every oil in my formulation also helps with acne, surprisingly. I didn't realize this till recently. But one of the things about EGCG is that it's anti-androgenic, which means it helps balance your sebum production. So if you're over oily, it's going to tell your sebum to back off. And if you aren't producing enough oil, it's going to stimulate and help your body produce more of its own natural sebum. So it balances out your sebum production, kind of like how niacinamide balances out your sebum production. The other thing that it does is it also reduces melanin secretion. So it's not technically a tyrosinase inhibitor, but it somewhat functions like one. So it's going to help not fine lines, but it's going to help with pigment and discoloration on the skin as well. So some of the things about it is its green coffee bean oil is loaded with phytosterols, and phytosterols are one of the naturally occurring ingredients that helps with moisture retention in your tissues. So I know if you have been around the skincare game for a bit, you've heard of trans epidermal water loss, TEWL. This is one of the number one concerns in the aging process that leads to aging, is the fact that your skin just can't retain the moisture levels that it used to. And one of the things about green tea oil and caffeic acid is it actually helps with that. So it helps balance the sebum and also prevents water loss in the tissues. It also has a large amount of chlorogenic acids, which ECGC is one of those. And chlorogenic acids are a major category of antioxidants. What are some of the other things it does? So the other thing with the green coffee bean oil is because of that caffeine content, it also helps with the puffiness. So it's why it helps with puffiness underneath the eyes, and then also puffiness if you use it all over your face. It has natural exfoliating abilities. It repairs DNA damage, and it actually helps decrease blackheads because it drops into the pore and actually helps keep pores more exfoliated. And the reason I'm talking about eye care oil today is for many people, as it gets colder and drier months into the winter, as it gets colder, it gets much drier. The wintertime is always drier. So if you used lighter and heavier and were great with it in spring, summer, and fall, but now you're coming into wintertime and you're finding that you just can't get enough hydration from those oils, you need to switch over to eye care oil, ideally, to help with your hydration levels. So when I first started doing skin consultations, remotely, I was encouraging so many people to use lighter and heavier as your hydrators. And then if they weren't giving you enough hydration, to bring in a balm. Because I'm not a huge fan of skin moisturizers. I found that people's skin actually gets better once they stop using moisturizers in their routine. But since I have started more using eye care oil on my own and I've been promoting it more, I am finding that the eye care oil is kind of taking the replace of that balm. So if you're not getting enough hydration from lighter and heavier, you really want to jump into eye care oil. Balms are a lovely thing as well. It's just, balms can be expensive. Some of them can be expensive. And there's a lot of balms on the market that are marketed as balms that just have a lot of like flat safflower and coconut oil in them. Like Anfisa is one of the very few balms that I'm aware of that is a very nutrient dense product, like my oils as well. But as you know, it does have a little bit of a higher price point, which is not a bad thing, but some people just can't afford that. So if you're wanting the hydration levels that you find in Anfisa, you could absolutely try eye care oil and it give you that same hydration level. So since I've been using eye care oil all over my face, I haven't felt the need to grab balms like I was all last winter when I was needing to get a little bit more hydration into my skin. So the second ingredient in eye care oil that's really phenomenal is milk thistle. And I fell in love with this ingredient a couple years ago when I first started working with it. The thing with milk thistle is it's again one of those very high antioxidant, high on the list of anti-aging ingredients. But the biggest thing that milk thistle does is it prevents glycation of the tissues. And once glycation has happened to your skin, you cannot reverse it. All you can do to prevent glycation is to prevent it. You can't reverse it once it's already happened. So what glycation is, and this is why they say that sugar is so bad for your skin, is sugar molecules actually adhere to collagen and lipids in the skin of the body and able to process it. So anybody who eats high fructose corn syrup, white sugar, basically sugar in general, can cause glycation. And what it does is it attaches to your collagen and your elastin fibers and makes them less flexible, and it makes them brittle and starting to break. So a perfect example of glycation, you tend to see it in people with a lot of sun damage or older populations, but it's not only just face wrinkles that go this way, it's also the ones that create the cross hatching. So when you have tissue that looks more like this in the wrinkle process, that is actually glycation, and it's caused from sun damage and sugar in the skin. So milk thistle actually prevents glycation from happening. And again, if it's already been created, you can't reverse it. All you can do is try to prevent it. I've actually even seen some skincare lines pop up that's the whole selling point of the skincare line, is that it prevents glycation in the tissues. The other thing with milk thistle is it's very rich in magnesium, zinc, selenium, and manganese. So again, with working with unrefined oils, all of these things are actually still intact in my formulations. They have not been filtered out. You actually are getting doses of all these minerals in the oils. The other thing that milk thistle does is so back to glycation. So the other thing that glycation can do is it can cause brown spots. It can cause pigmentation. So not only does the milk thistle prevent that cross-hatching of the wrinkle texture from happening, but it also will prevent dark spots, premature aging, things like that. So that's the beauty of milk thistle. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. Milk thistle is like one of the number one things you can take for liver support. It's also really great if you have any kind of acneic conditions and you're trying to clear up your skin, is to do like a milk thistle supplement or a liver support supplement to help your liver along. So that's the importance of milk thistle. It's the second ingredient in the formulation. And just so you guys know, the green coffee bean oil is in there at over 25%. And then next is milk thistle. So then we have apple. So I originally added apple in. I wasn't quite sure why. I just, when I meditated on it, it was like, girl, you need to put apple in here. You need to put apple in here. So I did. And then I started researching it more and started finding all these amazing benefits. So one of the things about apple that it has a high level of sulfur. And as many of you know, sulfur is extremely good for your tissues, especially if you're trying to clear up acne and things like that. But it's good for all, it's good for everyone. Sulfur is like the third most abundant mineral in the body. And what it will do is it also stimulates collagen and elastin production. The thing about sulfur is it improves your skin's texture. So it's another one of the things that when you start using products with sulfur in it or products with apple seed that have not been filtered, so the unrefined versions of apple seed, it softens the skins, it cleanses the pores, it prevents blackheads, and it prevents further acne breakouts, again, due to that sulfur content. It also is very antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. The thing that I loved about the apple, once I added it into the formulation, is I loved what it did to the tone. So the green coffee bean absolutely does that too, but I've noticed with the apple seed, so when I first started using eye care oil just around my eyes, I got a firming effect. It helped with puffiness, and then the actual just tone and plumpness of my eye area really improved. That is, again, partly because of the apple content. That's why I started using it all over my face, and now it's kind of my go-to oil for my whole face. And then the last oil in eye care is fig. And the reason why I chose to work with fig is because it is so deeply hydrating. It is one of the reasons why eye care oil is a little bit more expensive, is because fig oil is a quite expensive oil to work with. Not only does it help fade discoloration, it is loaded with flavonoids. So flavonoids are like your carotenoids, your luteins, your tannins, the chlorogenic acid that I talked about earlier. Fig seed oil also has 50 times more bioflavonoids than other fruits. So it's kind of like a super food oil in itself with what it contains. It's very potent anti-aging. Again, it's deeply hydrating. It also has 150 times more vitamin E in it than argan oil. The eye care oil does contain all 8 forms of vitamin E naturally occurring. So the most common form of vitamin E on the market that you see in skincare is the version that they can make synthetically. Not all forms of vitamin E can be made synthetically. I think there's only 3 that can be made synthetically, but one of them tends to be found in skincare the most. And the problem with synthetic vitamin E is it can actually exacerbate acne if you tend to have more acneic skin conditions. So one of the things with the Prakash Organics oils is all of the formulations have all 8 forms of naturally occurring vitamin E, but particularly eye care is really loaded with them because of the oils that I chose. It also helps decrease, the fig seed oil also helps decrease dark circles. So that was another reason why I put it in the formulation. So if you haven't tried eye care oil all over your whole face, I highly recommend it. Again, out of all the Prakash Organics oils, it's the most hydrating and anti-aging of all of them. So in regards to like hydration levels, I say the oils would go lighter, Brilliant C and E, heavier, and then eye care oil. So does anybody have any questions about the eye care oil at all before I move on to some of the skincare questions that people left for me? Let me see if there's anything here so far. I feel so scattered today for some reason. No, we're good. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the skincare questions. So the first one I had was daytime moisturizers. So I'm going to recommend some. Again, I'm not a huge fan of moisturizers. I am starting to realize, especially with working with more and more of the younger generations, that I do think that moisturizers are going to be kind of obsolete in the next 10 to 20 years. The younger generations, they're pretty much only interested in healthy skin oils and hyaluronic acid for moisture levels, whereas it's more of the, like my generation and older, who are still like of this belief system, and it's all about the creams and moisturizers, creams and moisturizers, creams and moisturizers. So the problem with a moisturizer is what a moisturizer and cream is they basically have taken oil and water and mixed them together, and then they have to put chemicals in them, whether they're clean slash green chemicals or not. They have to put stuff in them to force them to stay binded and emulsified. So they have to put emulsifiers in them. And all that stuff, not sure how much your skin likes it. When I first started with my skincare oils, how I started using them, I first started with Josie Maran's Argan Oil is actually how I got introduced to skin oils. And how I would use them is I would put a drop or two underneath my moisturizer, because I was a die-hard Cosmetics Phyto Harmony fan. They don't make that moisturizer anymore, but I just loved that product. And so I would put oils underneath my moisturizer, or I would add a drop or two in my moisturizers. And then once I started following Melissa Berg a little bit more and started hearing her talk about moisturizers and how she had completely quit using moisturizers and she only used oils, I tried the same thing. And I actually found over time my skin got better. So I haven't used really moisturizers on my face in almost 2 years. The binders and stuff still end up on the skin. So because we use sunscreens and things like that, we still do get the emulsifiers. And that's also another reason why I tend to try to persuade people to try just face oils and balms, is because you're putting them on with the moisturizer and then you're putting those emulsifiers and binders and fillers on with your sunscreens, and then you put them on with your makeup. And so basically, like, as many as I can remove from my routine, the better is what I have found. So when it comes to moisturizers, again, I have no problem recommending them. I feel that you should do you. But if you're open to stopping moisturizer use, you may find that your skin gets a little bit better. With that being said, the moisturizers that I like to recommend to people is I do really like the new Cosmetics Harmonized Moisturizer. I personally have not really used it very much because, again, I don't like moisturizers. But the clients who have requested it that I've put on, and then also a fellow colleague of mine, Lisa, my esthetician, she absolutely loves Harmonized. So what Harmonized does is it heals your microbiome and supports your microbiome, which is also known as your acid mantle. Your microbiome is your very first line of a defense of your immune system. So what the microbiome is, we used to just call it the acid mantle layer in the industry, but as we've become more and more savvy, it's now being talked about as the microbiome layer. So what it does is your body produces sebum. And then what happens is that sebum attracts good bacteria from the air and things like that. So that good bacteria then sticks to that sebum layer. And that is your very first line of defense when it comes to your immune system. It is why when you tend to have acneic skin, your skin gets absolutely thrashed, because what happens is you start using more aggressive exfoliating products and it ends up being too much and it starts damaging the microbiome acid mantle layer. The beauty of the acid mantle layer is it always is repairable. It's super easy to repair. You just need to give your skin a break, give it time to heal. But because it's not tissue or anything, right? Like, it literally is a layer of sebum that just needs to get that good bacteria stuck back to it. It can always repair itself. They have found, though, that over time, to actually feed that microbiome layer is also more beneficial to your skin. So Harmonize is a moisturizer that I feel like, honestly, everybody can use. If you're oily, if you're dry, if you're acneic, if you're not acneic, if you have rosacea, I'm finding that everybody that I put Harmonize on is very happy with it. It is $65 for 1.87 ounces. So if you break it down per ounce, it's almost, $35 an ounce. So it's a very reasonable moisturizer. The other moisturizers that I tend to recommend to people before I move into the last cosmetics one is by Michelle. So there's a company out there called Michelle. She is an over-the-counter product that you can get at most like health food stores. You can get it from her website. You can get it from Amazon. But she is a dermaceutical company that is a retail product and not a medical spa product. I'm not a fan of all of her stuff. Like, when it comes to her serums, I tend to put people into the cosmetics one more, because when you look at the ounces of her serums and price, they're actually about the same price, if not more, than cosmetics. But I do recommend her moisturizers because her moisturizers have such a phenomenal price point. So the ones I tend to recommend the most is her Deep Repair Cream. It retails for $32 for an ounce. The reason why I'm such a huge fan of that Deep Repair Cream is because it has an epidermal growth factor in it, which is the lab-derived growth factors that we talk about. So it's not going to be at a high therapeutic dose because it isn't a moisturizer and not a serum, but you are going to get some anti-aging benefits from that. And I tend to put everybody with like normal to a little bit drier skin into Deep Repair Cream. The other moisturizer that she makes that I've used both of these moisturizers. These were the two moisturizers that I used a lot, like in my later 20s when I just couldn't afford the nicer skincare. Pumpkin Renew Cream is the other one. So the Pumpkin Renew Cream, I tend to put like more normal to oily skin types in. Again, also an ounce for $30. She sources organically when she can. She does use dermaceutical grade ingredients. She does have actives, but those are the two moisturizers from my shell I like to recommend. The last one that has a huge cult following, honestly, through cosmetics is their Humidify Moisturizer. Their Humidify Moisturizer is pretty bomb, I will say. It has therapeutic levels of trehalose in it. So if anybody's ever heard me talk about trehalose, it like gets me so excited. So trehalose is like hyaluronic acid on steroids. It is derived from succulents and cactuses, and how trehalose works is it is a greedy molecule like hyaluronic acid. It holds up 1,000 times its weight in water, but this is what makes it so amazing. Okay. So as the cell starts to get dehydrated, the shape of the cell starts to change. And when you don't have a cell that's perfectly round, it can't function properly. So what trehalose does is it actually penetrates into the cell. And when the cell starts to dry out, it absorbs the moisture in the cell, turns into a gel form, and then literally plumps up and supports the cell walls. Trehalose is one of my most favorite skincare ingredients out there. It's in Mystic, which is one of the reasons why I absolutely love Mystic. It's in the Cosmetics Radiance Serum. That's what the hydrator is in Radiance, that and sodium hyaluronate. And then also it's in this Humidify Moisturizer. It also has shea butter, which shea butter is one of the ingredients that causes your body to make its own hyaluronic acid. I just learned this from my rep, Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa. But there's I think it was 3 ingredients on the planet that stimulate your own body's bioavailable hyaluronic acid. Not where you're supplementing in, but when you put things on your skin and then your skin's like, hey, I'm going to make my own hyaluronic acid. Shea butter's one. The other one's prickly pear, which is the first ingredient in my heavier face oil. I can't remember what the third one is. But that's one of the beauties of shea butter. Okay. And then the other thing that Humidify has at a therapeutic level is niacinamide. So, as many people know, niacinamide is a tyrosinase inhibitor. It helps also balance sebum production. Niacinamide does so many different things. So with Humidify, it is a $90 moisturizer, but it's 2.6 ounces. So again, we're back to about like that $30 per ounce category. And about of all the cosmetics moisturizers, it's the heaviest. It's the one that's going to give you kind of like that night cream feeling. So if you are wanting a moisturizer, those are the ones I tend to recommend for people. Okay, so one of the other questions was, do you have to mist toner before oil? So here's the thing. You don't have to, but your skin is like a sponge. So if your skin is slightly damp, everything you put on it is going to absorb better. I know I've had so many clients over the years who didn't use toners or misters. I tend to call them misters. And so when you put your serums on, you feel like you have to use more of them because they're just going as soon as they touch your face, depending on the type of serum it is. When you have your face slightly damp before you start applying things, you use less product and things apply more evenly. So how I do my skincare is I cleanse and then I mist myself like, I love them. This is the new Lily Fox that I got from Kraft that I am really liking. So what I do is I put that on and then I start layering my serum. So as you layer your serums, you don't want to massage them in until you're completely dry. You want to massage them in till you're almost, and then you want to go in with your next layer. So you shouldn't need to put any toner or misters on before you put your face oils on because the face oils tend to be more of your hydration step and you should have kind of put products on before them. But if you're just going to use face oils that day, yeah, I do recommend that your face is slightly misted with something. And then you want to put your skincare ingredients on, whether it's oils, serums, moisturizers, like whatever you're using, because they will apply more evenly. You won't need as much product and your skin will absorb them better. And then another question was how much SPF for winter? A lot. So here's the deal. You have your UVA and your UVB rays. So your UVB rays are the ones that burn you and the UVB rays are the heat. Okay. Your UVA rays are the ones that age you, that break down your collagen and elastin. And UVAs are the light. So do I put as heavy sunscreen on my face in the wintertime as I do in the summer? No, because I'm not going out inside and playing in the winter like I did this summer. Like I'm not, even though I live in Bend, Oregon, I'm just not like a big winter sports person. But I still use my 30s when I go outside. I don't think anybody who's a Fitzpatrick 3 or below, so Fitz 1, 2s, and 3s, should always be using at least a 30 on their skin at all times. Fitz 4s, 5s, and 6s can use the lesser between like, the 15s and the 25s if they'd like. They absolutely can still have skin cancer issues, but it's a different type of skin cancer that those higher Fitzpatricks get. And again, we're trying to prevent aging and pigmentation issues. So you should always wear sunscreen 365. If you don't want to use as much sunscreen in the winter months, I don't say use less. I just say maybe use a lower SPF. This is why like Cosmetics does make Hydrate Plus, which is a lovely product. I really enjoy it. I used to wear it for years, but it's only an SPF 17. I don't think you should be using SPF 17. So it's one of the reasons I don't retail the product. The reason why I don't choose to keep it on the website for my higher Fitzpatricks, if somebody who is a 5 or a 6 with that formulation, because it's zinc, it's probably going to make them a little bit ashy. So the people who that SPF 17 would be appropriate for, it's not going to blend into the skin like they want it to. So it's just one of the reasons why I've chosen not to carry the product. But you do need SPF. It's not because you need the SPF because it prevents aging. The collagen and elastin breakdown is the big issue. Okay, so those were, I think, all the questions. Does anybody have any more questions for me? Hey, Miss Hannah. Let's see. Okay. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate your support. If you have any questions about my oils, please feel free to reach out. I do hope you have the chance to try the eye care oil. It's amazing for just around the eye area, but again, if you want to try it on your whole face, you're going to see it's going to make amazing changes. And even if you have acneic skin, so again, you want to go by more of the hydration levels and not really pay attention to, like some people think like, oh, I should use lighter because that's the one for acne. Well, actually, no. All my face oils are going to help with your acne. You just mainly want to pay attention more to what type of acne that you have. So oily acne is lighter. Inflamed acne is heavier. Dry acne is eye care. And then again, you don't have to have acne to use my oils either. Like I can't tell you how many people have had improvements, regardless of their skin type, with the face oils, with the Prakash Organics face oils, because they are all unrefined oils, and you're just getting a major dose of nutrients in the skin. I use a whole bunch of different misters. So somebody's asking, what mist do you use? So my favorite's Mystic by Cosmetics. And the reason I love this one is because it has trehalose in it. It's got D2O in it, which is heavy water. And D2O is not only antimicrobial, so it's going to kill any type of acne bacteria or other bacteria on your skin, negative bacteria on your skin, but it also is anti-radial. So there'll be times where I'm in my car or I'm out and about and I feel like the sun's getting a little warm and I don't have any extra sunscreen to reapply. I'll whip out Mystic. Flight attendants love this product. Again, antimicrobial and anti-radial. It is $42 for a bottle. If you're wanting to be a little bit more cost effective with your product, what I tend to do sometimes is once you can either pour it out and store it, or once this gets half down, I'll actually refill it back up with one of the hydrosol waters that I talk about all the time. So you can get beautiful hydrosol waters from the food section. You can get Orange Blossom and Rose are the ones you'll see the most often. Hydrosols in the food section for $5.99 is the exact same stuff that you buy in fancy skincare bottles for $35 for the most part. A hydrosol is a byproduct of the essential oil industry. So it's literally the waste water that's left after making essential oils. But it smells so amazing, and they've found out all these amazing things that they can do with it. So that's one of the things you can do is you can either just put those hydrosols in your own spray bottle and use them, or if you have a toner that you really like, you can cut it a little bit. The other one that I really love is I'm using this new bitter orange one, which is basically neroli from Little Fox. Also loving that. But honestly, anything you can use as a toner. So some of my favorites are Benefit Balance, Mystic. I'm really liking this Lily Fox. And then I also will buy those hydrosols and just put them in my own spray bottles. You can use distilled water. You can put aloe vera juice in a spray bottle and use that. Like pretty much anything to rehydrate the skin. Toners originally were developed because of the fact that cleansers were very alkaline and your skin's more acidic. So the whole point in the beginning of a toner being developed is after you washed your face, you needed to mist it with a toner to reset to its natural pH. Well, skincare's come a long way. Cleansers are now pH balanced. You don't have to worry about that anymore. But toners have taken on like a whole nother importance because of the fact that your skin is like a sponge. It allows you to absorb products better. And then I also love to set makeup with them. So like after I've done my skincare and stuff for the day, if I've worn makeup, I will set my makeup and then I also will refresh my skin with it throughout the day. So those are all the amazing things that you can do with misters. Redness on the face. What are your recommendations? So when it comes to redness on the face, one of my most favorite products for this is Reduce by Cosmetics in the Elite line. It has over 30% white willow bark extract, which is what aspirin is made from. It's technically a serum in the cosmetics line, but I would love to see them repackage it into a moisturizer. So how I have my clients use Reduce is after they've done their skincare routine, after they've used their oils, their eye care, I have them put Reduce on as a moisturizer, even though it is categorized and says serum on it. I cannot tell you how much it helps reduce down the redness, especially people who, let's be real, so people who tend to drink wine and they have some inflammation in their tissues because of the wine. The other reason why you get that inflammation in your tissues from wine is because the wine turns to sugar and then the sugar turns to glycation in your tissues. So the Reduce serum really cuts down on that, and it's a cost-effective product. It is $63, but you do get 1.5 ounces of it, and the tube lasts a very long time because you only use about a petite size amount. The other thing that you can do for redness, if you haven't tried my heavier face oil, it is very anti-inflammatory and that will help. There's also another product that cosmetics makes called CPR. It stands for Correct, Protect, Restore. That's a half ounce though for $52, which is why I tend to put more people in Reduce, because I feel like Reduce is a superior product for what it does. The other thing that you can help with inflammation in the tissues is honestly if you can just get some pure aloe vera gel, like not the stuff with the preservatives, but like maybe something from the health food store or in the food section. Aloe vera could really help with the redness in your tissues as well. And then I don't know, we might have to do a skin consult on this, Becky, but you might be, like some of the products that you're using might be too stimulating for the skin and we need to back off a little bit. And that could also be partly that. Okay, so my favorite sunscreens are, it's in my bathroom because I cut it in half. Hold on a sec. Okay, so it is this one so for an untinted one, Biossance is my most favorite. So this is what I do with products. So when product starts getting, like you can't get it out of the tube anymore, what you want to do is you want to cut the tube, like don't cut it up here. Don't cut it up here, cut it in the middle, because then like there was a whole application in this part, and then I still have like 2 or 3 applications in there. So if you cut it in the middle, then you can tuck this into itself and put this on like a cap. Okay, and this will last for a couple weeks, if not a couple months, depending on what the product is. So I do this with all my tubed products, all right? So Biossance is my favorite untinted. It's an SPF 30, and just so you guys know, I layer stuff. So like in the wintertime, I'd only wear one of these. I'd wear this one or the Sun Integrity one, but in the summer, I put both of these on. For tinted, it is Sun Integrity. I like the 5-in-1 because I like sheer application, and I'm not oily. They have another formulation called, Impeccable. It's a little bit more of a matte finish, more for people who have a little bit oily skin type, but honestly, you can use either one. And they're both SPF 30s, but they're also both tinted. The thing when it comes to tinted sunscreen is as you get into the higher SPFs, the reason why you tend to see tint in things with the natural based sunscreen is because they're trying to get that stinking zinc to blend more beautifully into the skin. And if you don't have tint in the formulation, it may create a little bit of an ashy cast on the skin, whereas the tint actually helps it blend in a little bit more. So these are my 2 favorite. The other one I recommend often if you like makeup is this Ilia one. So this Ilia, this is called their Super Serum Skin Tint SPF 40. So it's a high SPF 40. And this also has hyaluronic acid in it and niacinamide. So this is a great one. It goes on pretty thin and has the most coverage. So this truly is more like a foundation. So I hardly ever use acrylic foundation. But I do love it when I want it. So this is a foundation, and these are going to be more just like basic sunscreens. And then the new sunscreen I've basically fallen in love with, and I didn't want to, but I did, is this Skin Better Science Compact. So it's not a green product, but it is a clean product. The difference is green product tends to be more natural based, whereas clean products, they still can be not natural based, but they have enough research and study on the ingredients that are going inside the formulation to know that it's not going to leach or create damage in the skin at all. So this one I love because it's an SPF 68. I also got this at Crafted when I was there, and I'll show you how kind of awesome this stuff is. So all I have on right now is that Suntegrity. So you can put this on. It's one shade for everyone. So it's one of those matchmaking shades that like just looks at your skin tone and knows exactly what to switch over to. And it, like, to me, it looks really dark in the compact. It looks darker in person, but it melts in beautifully. So this is the other one, and this is your SPF 68, and it goes on like makeup, but it doesn't look like there's anything on your skin. So this is the third Skin Better Science product that I tried. And so far, out of all their stuff, I really like Skin Better Science. For a truly medical line, I think this is the most clean one out there. Cosmetics is green, okay? Skin Better Science is clean. So those are my favorite sunscreens. Let's see if anybody else had any questions. You're welcome, Becky. And it looks like some other people use one of my sunscreens that they really like. Does anybody else have any more questions before I let you go? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will absolutely see you next week, Thursday, 1 o'clock. Let me know if you have any questions. Light and love to you all. Mwah.